What if I told you that one simple practice could transform your life? Whether it's career success, fitness, relationships, or personal growth. Learning how to set effective goals will help create a purpose in your everyday life. And today we're diving deep into it. I want to thank you for tuning back in to the Tickets Towards Success podcast. I'm your host, Tucker Nunnikoven, where we talk about health and fitness, personal development, and personal finance topics. And I help give you tips and tricks that I've learned through my journey and that I'm continuing to learn through my journey as well. I've always stayed fairly busy, but there's a difference between being busy and doing busy work. I'd say I've been frequently goal setting for about a year and a half now. And I'll tell you how I break down my goal structures later on. But once I learned how to set goals the right way, things became simple for me. I was able to focus on the things that mattered while learning and growing along the way. There's a quote, it's one of my favorites, and it goes like this. It's one thing to dream about it and talk about it. It's another thing to be about it. That seems to resonate with goal setting for me. Because once you set effective and achievable goals for yourself consistently, you start taking action and you stop dreaming. Today, we're going to cover why goal setting matters, different approaches to it, and how to set goals that are achievable for who you are and what place you are in your journey. Plus, I'll share some tips that have worked for me and others who've mastered the art of goal setting. So let's jump into it. So first off, let's talk about why goal setting matters. There's a few main points that I have. Number one, it gives your life direction and clarity. I want you to think of goal setting and your life as a roadmap. You're looking for the fastest point from A to B. So along the way, you have to set checkpoints, these being successes. So that way you know in your mind, hey, I made it to that point in my journey. And that could be goal setting. Goal setting is more than just writing something down on a piece of paper. It's about creating a vision for your life, a blueprint for where you want to go and what you want to achieve. Without goals, we're like ships drifting without a destination, just in the endless ocean. But when you can set clear, intentional goals, you take control. You steer your life towards something meaningful. Setting goals and gaining direction and clarity is really going to help you find that true passion in life. Because when you set those goals and you find that direction and you find that clarity, you start to figure out who you want to be, where you want to be, and what you want to do and who you want to do it with. So it helps you find your true passion, or at least get you to try new things and have new experiences that could lead you down that path to finding your true purpose. And all of this comes together to allow you to make better choices that align with your desired path. Making everyday choices that will either help you or negatively impact where you're trying to get and who you're trying to be. So number two of why goal setting matters, it creates accountability, focus, and discipline. Three of the biggest things that I think everyone needs to really hone in on, be able to focus on certain things, be disciplined about always showing up, be accountable. And to be honest, I've never been a huge believer in motivation or seasonal goal setting, right? It's January, New Year's resolutions are out. I saw something last year in 2024 at the end of the winter arc. It's like a workout thing for the end of the year, something like that. I've never been a huge believer in that. Because why not just start now? You're giving yourself that excuse to put it off till then. And if you really want something bad enough, why not just start it now? If you want to get somewhere in life, the fastest way to do that is to start it now. And Alex Hormozy has a great podcast about that kind of topic, and it's about how to be better in 2025. I don't remember the exact title of it, but if you go there, it's in probably the top 10 episodes or the latest 10 episodes that he's released. Great podcast. And then creating achievable goals in your mind makes them stick in your mind. It almost tattoos them into your mind. And putting them somewhere where you can see them all the time sticks them in your mind as well. And the good thing about when you're goal setting and you're creating accountability, focus, and discipline, it allows you to face tougher challenges and struggles head on in life. They're always going to be there. You might as well accept it. Knowing you have the confidence and the clarity to overcome anything, and that it ensures that you stick to your plan. And number 3 of why goal setting matters. It helps measure progress and celebrate small wins. Huge confidence boost. When you're continually stacking these small wins, your confidence just begins to rise. And I like to say when you're stacking small wins, it's like a compounding effect. Just building and building and building over time. And guess what? You have to start somewhere. You can't just start at the top. You can't start middle of the pack. It doesn't matter. If you're going into anything, you have to start at the bottom and work your way to where you want to be. Some of you may know who J.K. Rowling is. Famous author. She wrote the Harry Potter books. She was a single mother on welfare. And at the time, people were just denying her numerous times. She was trying to get published, right? She had set a goal to become a published author, getting denied, failing. And eventually, she published. And that led to the worldwide success that is Harry Potter. Now, while this is an important kind of short story about J.K. Rowling and her ultimate goal of becoming a published author, in my mind, obviously, she had monthly, daily, yearly goals that all tied into her ultimate goal, which was becoming a published author. So you need your direction in life is, hey, I want to get to this point in life. I want to be this person. I want to have these things. I want to build this business. I want to be this fit. In order to get to that ultimate goal, you have to set smaller goals that are able to compound over time until you get there. And I want to talk about another figure that I hope most people know. If not, he was arguably probably one of the best basketball players, top 3 for sure, of all time. And that's Michael Jordan. And he once said he would do whatever it takes to win. And if you study the lives of successful people across history, whether that's an athlete like Tom Brady or an entrepreneur like Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos, you'll notice a common theme, and that's relentless commitment to their goals. And that's regardless of their field or their profession. The key is to set realistic, actionable goals daily, monthly, and yearly that build on each other over time. So let your ultimate vision be the driving force that fuels your persistence, and these small, consistent steps will lead you to your final destination. All right, so now I want to go into different types of goal setting. And the first one I want to talk about is short-term goals, which arguably I think are the most important because it's that first step, that first action that gets your foot in the door, lights that spark, that gets you moving. And for these short-term goals, you need to focus on immediate wins. Finishing a project that day, or simply drinking a glass of water every morning right when you wake up, before you have your morning coffee. So short-term goals consist of daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, and that's how I want you to view short-term goals. Sometimes we think yearly is so far away, but it's really not. An example of a daily goal could be drink 1 gallon of water every single day. An example of a weekly goal, work out 4 out of the 7 days that week. An example of a monthly goal could be walk for 15 minutes every single day. An example of a yearly goal could be reading 20 books in a year, 30 books in a year, 10 books in a year. That could be your goal. The second type of goal setting is long-term goals. And I want you to think of these as big picture dream goals. The dreams that you come up with in your mind of where you want your life to be and all the success that you want to find or the purpose that you want to find. Like career growth or starting a business. And really, these should be 5 to 20 years in the future. And understand that these will change over time, and that is okay. As your life evolves, so will your goals. I mean, if you think about it and you keep stacking these small wins through your short-term goals, that might put you in a place where you find something that you really enjoy and you want to pursue that, but your ultimate goal could have been something completely different, but now you're going to tie that back in and create a new ultimate goal, and that's where you're going to pursue to go, and eventually everything will align. Let's talk about the SMART goals framework. Now, I debated whether I wanted to put this in this podcast episode, but I do think it's important because I mention it quite a few times, some of the letters here. So SMART goals, or SMARTs, would be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And one of the biggest reasons that people fail at goals is because they're vague. That's why the SMART method works so well: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For example, instead of saying, I want to get fit, say, I will run 3 times a week for 30 minutes over the next 3 months. Clarity leads to action, and action leads to results. There's a great book, Atomic Habits. It's by James Clear. And he talks about how you should identify yourself to form habits and break habits. And one of the examples he uses in the book is for someone that has a bad habit of smoking. And when they're in that bad habit of smoking, they identify as a smoker. So when someone asks if they want to do that, they say, no, I'm not a smoker. They're identifying as something completely different. And that can help shift your mindset into changing your habits or creating positive habits. Instead of saying, oh, I'm not a runner, I'm a runner. I classify as that. And it works for a bunch of other things as well. And there's an importance of talking about stretch goals versus realistic goals. Because it's really important to balance ambition and feasibility. So make sure that all your goals are actually achievable. I'm a firm believer that anyone can do anything that they put their minds to. But understand that certain things take time and years of learning and compounding. A lot of things do. You can't just get successful overnight. It's impossible. And you more than likely won't make 100 million the first year you start a business. You might after 20, 30, or 40 years. Who knows? Could be even shorter. Could be longer. But you need to be intentional and thoughtful with your short-term and long-term goals, making sure that they're aligned and that they can pivot and change over time when you find a new passion or you find something that you really want to pursue. There's a really good quote. I hear it from Nick Bear a lot. Nick Bear is someone that I follow. If you don't know who he is, he's a big-time fitness influencer, or not influencer, but YouTuber. Makes a lot of content about his business. He grew a supplement company. It's just an overall really great guy to listen to and has a lot of great advice and tips, when you're going through life. But anyways, he says this quote, and it was wrote by a famous author and poet named Joseph Green Holland. And the quote goes, "Legacy is built with drops, but lost in buckets." Legacy is built with drops, but lost in buckets. You have to build a sound structure in order to achieve your long-term goals. That's built through small wins, which create confidence, problem solving, and discipline. You cannot build a house unless you have a great foundation and a sound structure. You have to have that structure and build those small wins in order to get to that ultimate goal. All right, so let's jump into part number 3 of this podcast episode, which is how to set achievable goals. And I'm going to give you some of the tips and tricks that have worked for me and kind of what I've learned. And we're kind of going to break it down by a step-by-step process. First and foremost, number 1, I need you to write it down. You must write it down. It will help with visualization in your mind of what you need to do to achieve those goals. And I need you to put it somewhere where you can see it every single day. It can't just be on your phone or your computer and you can say that you're going to check it all the time, because you won't. I need you to put it somewhere where you're going to see it, whether it's on your desk, on your fridge. I have mine in my bathroom mirror. Sticky notes, just post it on there with some tape, and then a bigger piece of paper with 1 year, 6 month, and ultimate goals. Writing down your goals isn't just a formality. It's a commitment to yourself. Studies show that you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. Why? Because seeing them on paper makes them real. It's a daily reminder of what you're working toward and why it matters. And guess what? It's also a daily reminder that if you're not doing something and you're failing, and it makes you take action and start doing what you need to be doing. The second step in the process is I need you to break it into smaller tasks. So a monthly goal of mine that I always have is to do a certain amount of push-ups. And for example, I believe last month in December of 2024, I was supposed to do 2,300 push-ups that month. So that's about 77 per day. So I just break it down into 80, right? So 80 push-ups per day can get broken down into 4 sets of 20. Or you can do 8 sets of 10. But I need you to break up each one of your goals. If you can, I need you to break it up and make it seem easier in your mind. Even though it's not, make it seem that way. You're tricking your mind into saying, hey, it's actually easier because I broke it down this way, so I can do that. And then you keep stacking that over time. The third step in this process is you need to set clear deadlines. End of the month, 6 months, end of the year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Set deadlines for all your goals. And the fourth step in the process is you need to review and adjust regularly. So review your progress every single day. Make sure you know exactly what needs to be done in order to achieve the goal. Another example of mine, when I have them hanging on my bathroom mirror, when I'm keeping track of my push-ups, I'm marking a tally every single day that I hit that push-up. I'm reviewing that progress. Did I hit that goal? If I have a financial goal, say it's for investing, I need to invest a certain amount in that month. I'm writing down how much I've invested so far. That way, when I get to the end of the month and I look back on those goals and I'm reviewing, if something doesn't look right, I can reevaluate and see what went wrong. All right, let's talk about some common mistakes to avoid when goal setting. Number 1, setting vague or overly ambitious goals. If they're too easy, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to grow. You're not going to learn. If they're too ambitious, you're going to fail every single time, and you're just going to lose confidence. You're going to lose momentum, especially in the short-term goals. They cannot be too ambitious. Number 2 is you're not tracking your progress. You have to track your progress. You have to look at that progress and make sure that you're getting done what needs to be done. Number 3 is giving up too early. Listen, it's going to be hard. Any form of change or growth requires resiliency. You must be willing to suffer and push through the difficult moments to break through to the other side. If you truly want to go to the other side, and someone that I can think off the top of my head that talks about this all the time is David Goggins. If you don't know who David Goggins is, he's probably one of the hardest dudes on the planet. Ultramarathon runner. He was a Navy SEAL, went through boot camp 3 times, was also a Ranger, went through that training as well. And he's a crazy guy. And he talks about breaking through to the other side a lot. You have to be willing to go through that pain and suffer to get to that other side where the person is of who you want to be or what you want to achieve in life. And you need to know that setbacks are just part of the journey. They're not the end. Every failure is a lesson. When you hit a roadblock, just ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I pivot? Resiliency isn't about avoiding failure. It's about bouncing back from failure stronger. Remember, the path to success is rarely a straight line. And I listened to an Alex Hormozy podcast the other day when he was talking about how to be better in 2025. And he talks about that you should be looking to create a resume of failures. Because ultimately, the more times you fail, the more you grow, the more you learn, and the closer you are to finding your purpose, to achieving what you want to do in life. And he really puts in some really good points in there. I would highly, highly recommend that episode on his podcast. If you take one thing from today's episode, it's this: set goals that excite you and challenge you, but also feel within reach. And remember, progress is progress, no matter how small. Keep stacking small wins that align with your ultimate goal, and you will grow faster than you ever realized you could. So before this week ends, write down 3 goals: 1 short term, 1 long term, and 1 just for fun. Break them down into steps, and let's see what happens when you take action. And make sure that once you're going through that process, you reflect on how you felt in that moment. I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for listening to the second episode on the Tickets Toward Success podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Share this with someone who could use a little goal-setting inspiration in their life. Feel free to leave a comment and let me know of some suggestions for episodes or some things that you would like to hear from my channel. And remember that every step forward grants you another ticket toward achieving your goals. And the more that you collect, the more you will learn and grow. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.